Hey, I'm Dan, and this is the first video in the Learning to Program with Python series. This video series is going to take you from knowing nothing about programming or Python to understanding the fundamentals of the language and the thought processes you'll need to adopt to get going. In this video, we're going to go over what Python is and how to get your Python programming environment set up. So, let's get started. Python is an interpreted programming language. This just means that once you've written your program, you can run it straight away without having to do anything else. No compilation, you just run it. In my opinion, it's a really nice language to use, especially if you're new to programming, as it's a relatively easy one to read. Now, I sometimes hear people confuse this with it not being as capable as other languages out there, and I've used a reasonable number of different languages, and I can tell you that that's not true. Of course, each language has the tasks they're better suited for, but Python is generally a pretty good all-rounder. There's some big companies using it for some really cool things, so take a look in the description to find out more about them. So, let's get started. Firstly, we need to get Python installed. If you're using Windows or a Mac, open up your web browser and go to python.org. Click the Downloads button at the top, pick either Mac OS X or Windows from the drop-down menu, and then download the 32-bit or 64-bit installer. If you don't know which one to pick, download the 32-bit version, as that should work regardless. Once you've got the installer, run it, accept the defaults and complete the installation. On Windows there might be an option to add Python to your path, make sure that is selected. All this does is ensures that when you go to launch Python, Windows will actually be able to find it. This should happen automatically on Linux and Mac. If you're working on a Linux machine, I'll assume you already know how to install packages using your package manager, so just go ahead and install Python 3 from there. Now pause the video and come back when you've done all that. Okay, so hopefully that all went smoothly. Now let's check it worked. On Linux and Mac, open up a terminal. You should just be able to search for the word terminal in your launcher to find it. On Windows, click the Start button and search for and then launch command prompt. Now, I'm using Linux, so things might look a little bit different on my screen, but everything should work in roughly the same way. In your terminal, and I'm including the Windows command prompt in that, type Python, all lowercase, and hit enter. Hopefully you'll see Python launch with 3 greater than signs. That's Python's interactive prompt where you can run Python code. It's a really useful place to quickly test things out. Check that the version says 3 point something, 3.7 in my case. If it doesn't, you need to quit Python by typing exit, open and close parentheses, and then pressing enter. You can then type Python and then the number 3, no spaces, which should launch the correct version. So hopefully you're still with me and everything's working. Now the next thing that we need to do is to get your development environment set up. You can program Python in any text editor you like, but as we're just starting out, I'd recommend using something like Atom or Visual Studio Code. Although you could get away with using something like Notepad in Windows if you really wanted to. I'm not going to go through how to install those programs because they should be quite simple to get running. For the minute, all you need to be able to do is to create and save a file. So pause the video again and come back when you've got your text editor downloaded and installed. Right, so the final thing for this video is to create our first very simple program. Open up your text editor. I'm using a program called Vim, which you can see on the left, but you open Atom, Visual Studio Code, or whatever you've chosen to use. Now, a common thing to do when you're just starting a new language is to write a Hello World program. It's like a very simple test program to get you started and to make sure everything is working. So let's do that now. We're going to use the print function to write Hello World to the screen. I'll be going over how all this works in the next few videos, but for now, just type exactly what I have and save the file as hello_world.py somewhere on your computer. It's good practice to avoid using spaces in file names when programming. Things can get a little bit more confusing and we should probably avoid that while we're learning, so use underscores instead. Okay, so we've written our first program and saved it. Now we need to run it. In Windows, find the hello_world.py file in your documents or wherever you saved it, and then type cmd into the location bar at the top of the window to open command prompt in that folder. If you're using Linux or Mac, open the terminal from the launcher like you did before, and navigate to the directory where you saved your hello_world.py file. You can use the cd, ls, and pwd commands to move around. So for example, if I type pwd, I can see that I'm currently in the root of my file system. I know that I saved my file in my home directory, so I can navigate there using the cd command to change directory. Keep doing this until you're in the same folder as your hello_world file. Now, if everything's gone to plan, you should be able to type Python, or Python 3 if you had to do that earlier, then a space, and then hello_world.py, hit enter, and hopefully you'll see your Hello World message on the screen. Awesome! So that's your first Python program. Well done! In the next video, we'll be learning a bit about variables and types and some simple ways that they're used. So check the description for a link to that, and if you're interested in learning more, subscribe and click the bell to get notified when I publish a new tutorial. If you got stuck with anything along the way, leave a comment below and I'll see if I can help you work out what went wrong. Catch you next time.